Hello, football fans. This is God's on Goal, and welcome to another episode. And we're going to talk about transfers directly, especially Arsenal transfers before we go to other teams where notable transfers that they've made. And the saga that is actually going on currently, it's the GYOKERES to Arsenal, and it's taking quite a long time. It's really stressing out because the deal was done almost 2 weeks ago, and most of the fans were excited, including myself. We're excited that you're going to get this prolific goal scorer into our team, something that we've been wanting to have for quite some time. It's been years since we last signed a striker. The last striker we signed was Gabriel Jesus, and while Havertz has been doing his work, his job, I believe he was on to doing a good season before the injury last season, as much as he missed a couple of chances. But he was already on 20 goals and assists before the injury, so he was doing well basically. Now with the signing of Gyökeres, while we are being linked with him and Sesko, before I talk about Sesko first, let me finish up with Gyökeres. I like the striker, coming from the Portuguese league. He has played English football before. He has experience. He has more than 50 goals. He has more than 100 goals in his career. So, and he's 27 years old. He's at his peak. And several years back, if you had such a striker in the market, majority of teams, especially the big teams like Barcelona, Real Madrid, Manchester United, as much as they are suffering right now, they were in for him. But it seems like Gyökeres has decided to stay, or rather to stick to Arsenal, since he seems that the project that is with Arsenal is going to work quite well as compared to any other place. And I understand that because teams, especially Mikel Arteta teams, he loves players who want to play for him. It doesn't matter who you are. It entirely depends on exactly what you want to do for the team. And it's not really misplaced, to say the least. But yes, Gyökeres will add goals to Arsenal, and that is basically what we want at the moment, because we've been suffering for a long time, And now, in terms of my preference, and I've said it so many times among the people that talk about football, my preference was always to have Sesko. Yes, he's not the most prolific goal scorer you can have, but he is exactly what our team needs in terms of aerial threat, shots outside the box, a target man, somebody who can be able to, get those chances. Of course, we wouldn't expect him to bag like 20 or 30 goals in the Premier League, but at least to guarantee we have a man up front who, at least with time, as much as he is young, is going to be clinical, and somebody is going to to do the work that it is. And it's unfortunate that RB Leipzig is a team actually I support in Germany, one of those Bundesliga teams that I love watching most of the times. Him, Xavi Simons, and there was the time that Nkunku was there, Dani Olmo was there. There was this guy, there's this a striker. He was from Denmark. I can't remember his name, but he was really, really good. I don't know where he went. I'll remember the name. I'll remember to share it. But yes, in terms of the striking department, we are really, really short at this point. The Nketiah tried really much, but he couldn't hit the goals that we wanted. I thought we would have replaced him immediately he left, but unfortunately, we're still here. It's already about a few days to August, and we don't have a striker yet. That is the main problem that we have at Arsenal right now. So yes, it's really depressing at this point, because David Onsen said the deal was cleared. Head of Arsenal said that the deal was already in place. Fabrizio, as usual, has been sharing numerous reports that there's a issue with some add-ons in the deal that we want to have with Gyökeres. So that's also another thing. But either way, at this point, I don't think I'm in a position to choose the striker that I'd want in my team. Of course, I have a preference, but at this point, any number 9 will do. Even if we get an Oli Watkins, as much as the fans will be disappointed with the transfer, we have to understand that it is fans who have to cheer the team. there are people who are paid to make decisions for Arsenal, and they're paid very well. There's a lot of legal documents to be shared. There are coaches, there are some nutritionists, there are so many factors that lead to, in order to get a player to play for your team. So that's also another thing that we have to consider. So yes, either Gyökeres or Sesko. As much as I'd love to have Gyökeres in our team, I wouldn't be surprised if that deal collapses, if the main problem is just a few million shillings that Arsenal has to spend. And as it stands, it doesn't seem like we're going to make any big signing, because the reports are actually coming out that now that Xavi Simons will be heading to Chelsea. They have already begun club-to-club discussions. It's going to be really tough, because now we are being told that Arsenal needs to be able to sell a player in order to afford a player like Eze. Or rather, now that Nwaneri has, is going to sign a new contract, there's a high chance we are going to skip on the Eze deal to keep Nwaneri and continue his development. So those are another thing. So it seems like our striking department will look like Gyökeres and Madueke. That's all. Oh, and speaking of Madueke, I love that signing actually. It makes sense. People are complaining about the money, but compare the teams that we are fighting against. Liverpool have Salah, they have Gakpo, they have they had the late Jota, they have Nunes, now they have Ekitike, they have Florian Wirtz, they have Sosbolai, they have McAllister. Look at that attacking power. At Arsenal, we only have Odegaard, Saka, Havertz, and Trossard. Martinelli isn't as prolific as he was 2 or 3 years ago. He isn't. Saka has been ward with injuries, and he has no backup for all that time. His backup was Sterling, who disappointed very much because that deal with Chelsea was so bad. That's where the Madueke signing makes sense. The Madueke signing makes sense because it gives us a little bit of flexibility on that side, and since he can be able to play those wings, the left wing and the right wing, he's a good utility player to have, and can push us when we have those games that opponents aren't really as tough, especially maybe in the Champions League or the Carabao Cups, or maybe in the league, because either way the league isn't as easy, but it would suit us. Maybe we have a big game in the midweek and we need Saka to rest, so Madueke will add that. In terms of goals, I don't know so much. I don't know whether he'll reach so many goals, but if he contributes between 15 to 20 goals, contributes, in his first season, I can say he'll have a decent season. Or maybe he comes in with clutch goals like Trossard used to do when he was new at Arsenal. He used to come, he was our super sub, right? When he came, we always knew that Trossard will be taken off, and then we'll have Martinelli will be taken off, and then we'll have Trossard in, and then we'll come in goals. And then there was a period where people are saying that Trossard is not happy with his game time and all that. Like, it has been a lot, but either way, it worked into our favor. So if you have Madueke to do such work, then that's good. And in terms of the midfield, at least we replaced Partey, we have replaced Jorginho with the Zubimendi and Noagad respectively. I actually love Noagad. Noagad is one of my favorite signings, to be honest. He seems like a really, really good guy. He's also good on set pieces. He's has experience. He loved the move. I can't say maybe he loved the club. That's what players say. But I really loved that move. It made total sense. It wasn't expensive, just about 11 to 12 million pounds. So it was a good deal to go. He has 2 years on his deal with an option of adding one. It can be a good rotational option when Zubimendi gets to acclimate to the EPL. Zubimendi actually is a really, really, really good player. A prolific one. I'll talk about him in another episode in terms of the signings. But just to mention but a few, Mosquera is also on his way to us. We've signed Kepa. So those are really, really good signings, especially to improve our bench or other our rotation options. The only problem that we are currently facing is the attacking sense, where we need a left winger, we need a striker, and we also need a number 10. That's where Eze and Xavi Simons were, to be counted on. So fortunately or unfortunately, we're not going to get either of them. But the window is still open. It's time to see how it goes. But yes, there's also a lot of links that are currently happening with other players, like exit for Trossard. Trossard he hasn't renewed his contract, so he might leave. There's also some shout that we can be able to sell Kivior, the defender. He's been linked with Juventus before. There's also a link. Is there any other player who's been linked? Oh, also Martinelli has been linked with Bayern previously, but I don't think that deal will materialize. There's also Fabio Vieira, who is on holiday currently because he participated in the Club World Cup. There is also Reece Nelson, and it seems that he's going to get a loan move to maybe Fulham and also maybe Crystal Palace if they're interested. He's looking for a loan move. He has 2 years left on his contract, so it's very hard to offload him. We also have that problem with offloading players in our team. Also another target that we are looking at to see. So yes, there's a lot of movements. There's a lot of you know games to play, to see, especially the preseason now starts tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow at the time of recording, start tomorrow. Start against AC Milan at Singapore, and then we'll play, I think, Newcastle next, and then Spurs, and then there is, I guess, Villarreal in between, and the last game probably is Emirates Cup. I think Athletic Bilbao. At least we'll get to see Nico Williams at the Emirates finally. We've been linked to that brother for almost 2 years and we still haven't gotten him. But he decided to renew his contract. He got a very good contract at Bilbao. So yes. Those are basically the Arsenal transfers that I can be able to think about, and the GYOKERES saga that is actually going on. Well, in other news, just notable mentions is that Man United at least secured, Mbuemo, or Mbuemo, I don't know how he's mentioned his name. Yes, he scored 20 goals last season. Very, very good winger. Has about 60 goals in the EPL. I don't know. Yeah, 60 to 80 goals, I think. Maybe 60. I'm not sure about the numbers. I'll confirm that. But he's a good player. They have Kuna now. They're focusing on finding a striker. Rashford has moved to Barcelona. His dream move. I guess that works for him and everyone else. It's just a loan move, but Barcelona will cover like his salary, and the Man United will not get a loan fee, so that works for both of them. I don't think there's any other mention. I've mentioned about Chelsea. Liverpool have signed a Kitike and all that. Well, Man City haven't signed anyone yet. They signed Ryan Cherki, Reinders, and another guy. I can't remember his name. But yes, there's a lot happening in the transfer world. And as we keep on making these episodes, at least I'll be able to, verify all of this information, because these news develop constantly. They change all the time, so it's really hard to keep up with them all the time. So whenever I get the chance to update, especially on the Arsenal transfers, I'll do that. It actually makes sense that way. So yes, regardless of whatever happens in this window, I think we should be ready for next season. Whether we are going to sign a striker or not, we should be ready to go up and running. We should start by targeting going to the cup games, at least going further in cup games, like going to the finals in the Carabao Cup, in the FA Cup, the Champions League, because we reached the semis of both the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, and the Champions League, sorry. The FA Cup, we were knocked out in the third round by Manchester United. That is usual because of that white jersey that I don't like, and it's going to be renewed next year. So yeah, but all in all, those are the latest transfer updates. I'll update you more on whatever happens. So at least tomorrow we have a game to talk about, to see the kind of lineup that Arteta is going to introduce. I'm going to start with, actually, because I expect a person like maybe Kai Havertz to start, Bukayo Saka to start tomorrow, maybe Norgard and Odegaard to start. I guess basically the first team. I'd like to see Kepa play. Actually, it would be really interesting to see him play in the preseason. First game, actually. Give Raya some rest, to see how he's blending with the team. I'd like to see Lewis Kelly play, Saliba, I don't think he will play. I don't think he will play much in the preseason, but I think he'll get some minutes in there because, he suffered an injury at the far end of the season. So they're trying to manage him to see how he's going to cope with that. Yeah, Ben White, I think, is back. So hopefully he's back to full fitness. Timber, at least he had a surgery. He'll be okay. yeah, we'll see. We'll be able to get to see. Madueke isn't in the preseason. Man, I would love to see him. So yes, we're going to see a lot of players. We're going to do some, hopefully we're going to win, have some nice results. Hopefully this Gyokere saga goes away and we get to see our man. So yes, that's all for today. I thank you for listening, and do enjoy the rest of your day as we catch up tomorrow. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to God's on Goal. We are going to talk more about that. So yes, do enjoy that.